Today I'm going to be sharing with you a selection of houseplants that will thrive and do really well in just ordinary humidity. If, like me, you don't want to run a humidifier in your home and you're not able to keep houseplants that require high humidity to survive, these houseplants will do just fine in ambient room humidity. The first one I have for you is this Fishbone Cactus. And this cactus is actually a jungle cactus, and it's really unfussy. Not only does it not require any humidity, it will be just fine if you give it a little bit less light than other cactus plants. This one is just a really easy going plant, I personally find. I have it just in my living room. Here in the UK it's not particularly humid. Even in the winter when the air is fairly dry, it's really happy, and it also keeps on growing too, which is really nice. Next one is this Aliccia Poly, and if you're a little bit scared of alocasias, this one is a brilliant starter plant for you, because this is probably the easiest alocasia out there, I would say. And again, this one I just have in my living room here in the UK. It does just fine. During the winter I keep it a little bit closer to the window so that it gets plenty of light. But I don't raise the humidity in any way, shape or form, and it does just fine. It doesn't suffer with browning. It's just really happy, and I definitely recommend this one. If you do have a little bit of a high humidity spot for it, like the bathroom or the kitchen, it's still going to be fine there, but it's just really adaptable to different conditions. Just make sure you give it enough light so that it doesn't go dormant during the winter, and it should be fine. The next plant I have to show you is a Achillea White Joy, and although I'm showing you a specific type of Achillea, you can actually take the same advice that I'm giving you for any Achillea. So basically all Achillea are super easy care. They are not fuzzy about humidity. They won't mind if you put them in a more humid spot, they'll appreciate it, but they're also going to be absolutely fine in any kind of room conditions. They are known for being really hardy. So any type of Achillea that you see, the same rule applies. It's really easy to care for, hardy, and it doesn't require humidity. A lot of these plants that I'm showing you, some of them will be fine with humidity too if you can give it to them, but they'll also be just fine if you can't. And Achilleas are just known for being really easy and adaptable to different lighting conditions too. I would say the more variegated your plant is, the more light it should need, so I wouldn't keep this one in too dark a spot, but most Achilleas, they do survive just well in darker spots too. But today we're talking about humidity, of course, so yeah, any humidity conditions really, these are absolutely fine. Next up is the peace lily, and this one's actually the variegated version, but this also applies to the regular peace lily too. Peace lilies, they are happy if you give them a bit of extra humidity, don't get me wrong, but they do thrive just as well in lower humidity situations such as I have here. I grow several peace lilies in my home here in the UK, and they do just fine. This one is thriving. And they really do give that sort of jungly vibe. Peace lilies can grow quite big eventually, so I think they're a really good plant to have around. If you need an easy care plant that isn't going to be fussy, this one will not disappoint you. Again, if you do want to give this plant some humidity, it will still be just fine, but if you don't, it'll be just fine too. So that's the kind of plants we like. Plants that don't get fussy and will just be pretty in our homes. Any type of Schleifera or umbrella tree is going to do just fine in low humidity situations. This is a variegated version. I also have the solid green version as well, and they're both just as easy. They thrive in pretty much any conditions I put them in, and once they get going, these are super fast growers too. I have to say, Schleiferas, I can't say it very well, I prefer to say umbrella plant. It's much easier for me to say, but I really do love the umbrella plant because they're just super easy. They will not be fussy at all, as I say, if you put them in a lower humidity situation. Again, they're not gonna turn it away. If you give them a bit of humidity, they're still going to be happy, but they certainly don't need it. So this is probably one of the hardiest plants you could get. You do not need to worry about this one. It will grow for you really well in pretty much any situation. This one is an Easter cactus, but this applies to Christmas cactus and Thanksgiving cactus too. These guys, what I love about them is look at the form of those leaves as they form. They kind of start to cascade and they're just so pretty. These do actually flower as well if you give them enough light and once they're settled into your environment. But this one actually thrives super well in low humidity. It doesn't actually want to be in too humid of an environment anyway. But I personally find this plant super rewarding because it grows in this beautiful cascading form. And yeah, I pretty much just leave this one on my shelf to do its thing. I give it a little bit of water now and again. I'm very mean with the water, as I am with most of my succulents, and it never complains. It's just fine. I've also kept this one in a few different rooms in my house. It doesn't really mind. It's just happy. So yeah, definitely highly recommend this one. You might be surprised to find the Moranta on this list. Even though it looks kind of exotic, a bit like the Calathea, it actually doesn't require high humidity levels to be just fine. Again, it would love a bit of humidity if you give it to it, but mine doesn't ever get any humidity and it's doing just fine. I rarely ever get any browning on this plant. It just really thrives. It doesn't cause any problems. I've had it in several different rooms in the house and it does adjust well, although I wouldn't recommend moving your plants around too much because it's not generally the best thing to be doing for them. This one has actually fared really, really well all the times that I've moved it around. Yeah, it's just a really cool, attractive plant to have in your home. Thanks for watching today's video, guys. I really hope you found it helpful. Feel free to leave me a comment or a like if you did, and don't forget to subscribe to my channel, and I'll see you in the next one.